Hello everybody, it's Pineapple here. And so today I wanted to explore just how you can beat Kashtira once you're post side, because I know a lot of people are really frustrated with this deck. It's extremely toxic. It's not fun to play against. But thankfully, this deck is very easy to beat post sideboard, especially going second, especially because there's simply put so many answers to the deck that just allow you to pick apart their board like it's nothing. Even Lock 5 plays don't necessarily win them the game. It certainly will steal them games, but I don't think that it's going to propel it far enough. That said, let's take a look at the cards that you can use to beat it. And the best option, simply put, is Thrust, specifically for talents. This, comboed with the ability to overlay your own Arise Heart on top of whatever you take from them, and then punch something, make Zeus, is probably put the best combo. Since they're probably going to trigger their Shangri-Era in the standby to summon out a guy, this is always online. Additionally, even if they don't do that, if you activate any other card, it'll get banished, and that will trigger Arise Heart to attach something, turning it online. Additionally, Thrust will get banished by Arise Heart if they do Shangri-Era, and so your talents will be online once you add it anyways. And since Arise Heart only needs a Shangri-Era activation, it doesn't matter whose side of the field it's on, you can always overlay it, punch over something, make Zeus their board, and then continue on with your plays, which feels pretty good, I will say. It's very satisfying. Now, that said, Talent Thrust is a, $70 card, I want to say, and that's not a viable option for everyone. So we'll explore some more budget options, the drawbacks, and the implications. First up, Nib. This is probably your cheapest, best, most consistent option. Going second, it's Nibiru. It also will hit a wide variety of other decks because it's Nib. It's a fantastic going second card. It's Nibiru. It's going to nuke boards. They don't really have an out to it unless they lock 5 zones, but when they go to lock your 5th zone, you just chain Nibiru. So Nib is fantastic since they can't really play around it without, doing it in less than 4 summons, or less than 5 summons, which makes them a suboptimal board, making them weaker to other board breakers. We have Lancia as well, so they can't keep locking zones. You can Lancia and then prevent them from continuing to banish your stuff. It's fantastic. Again, a relatively cheap option. I don't think Lancia is the end-all be-all, but it definitely can get you there when you need to. And then up next we have the big boys, the big guns. We have Kaiju's. Kaijuing Shangri-Era is just GG's, or you can Kaiju a Rise Heart if they've locked 3 zones and you can keep playing. Again, any Kaiju can fit here. It's fantastic. It only gets you rid of one guy when you can definitely get rid of more. Golem, it's Golem. Get rid of Shangri-Era, get rid of Arise. Golem's fantastic. If your deck needs its normal summon though, it's not great, and I would probably recommend Kaiju's more. Sphere Mode, this is probably the one deck where Sphere Mode is pretty much always online, simply because they're pretty much always going to have 3 monsters on the board. Whatever they summon off of Shangri-Era in the standby, Shangri-Era, and Arise Heart is probably going to be their end board with some back row and the like, and you're probably going to be minus 3 zones, and you can just Sphere Mode them for their entire life savings. Kurakuri Divya Incarnate, if you're unfamiliar with this card, it hasn't seen any play, but it finally does. It can't be normal summoned or set, and it has to be special summoned from your hand by tributing all face-up monsters on the field that activated their effects this turn in your opponent's monster zone. So it can't hit EMZ cards, unfortunately. And it gains 1500 attack for each monster attributed to special summon this card. This card's fantastic, and it can just end the game immediately because your opponent can go, oh yeah, I triggered a Rise Heart and Shangri-Era. Well, that's 2 guys, and all of a sudden you have a 45 beater on your field. It's fantastic. It blows up their board, and if they don't lock 4, or lock 5, then she just comes out and wipes the whole board. It's very specific tech. It doesn't really work against a ton of other things, but it does get you there. Additionally, during the end phase, you get to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field, so you can, steal their shit, which is fantastic. I enjoy this card, but it is a little pricey, so don't feel like you have to get it. Nib works just as well, so does Golem. If you're really going to price out to beat this deck, again, Thrust is your best option. For our Book of cards, we are playing Book of Moon. again, very small. I don't think Book of Moon is good enough, but you can play it if you don't want to, spend any money if that's what you want to do. Lunar Eclipse, I feel like, is for specific decks that are unable to clear uh, the monsters, but don't want to, have all their shit get banished. Things like Labyrinth. I don't think this is the best option in Labyrinth, but I do think it gets the job done. Book of Eclipse specifically is the version that if you can clear their board, you want to play this one. Because otherwise they're just going to draw and then flip everything back up and it won't do anything. Swords of Concealing Light, it does the same thing as all the others, except a Rise Heart, if it has 3 materials, it's just going to detach and banish it face down, and then it won't do anything. But it does kind of force it out, which is something, I guess. But I wouldn't really recommend this one unless your deck, like, specifically can't clear boards, and, like, you don't want to use the discard fodder, or you want to really be forcing out a Rise Heart. That's up to you. Change of Heart and Mindcon, again, steal something, overlay for a Rise Heart. Punch, make Zeus. That's the idea with these cards. Again, they are 1-ofs, so they aren't great. You can probably main deck them, honestly, but yeah. Moving on, we have Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler is really okay. It doesn't prevent Shangri-Ira from locking your zones. They will stay locked if you Dark Ruler them, but it does turn off a Rise Heart, and it does make it a lot harder for them to lock more zones, which is a plus. It's Dark Ruler. It doesn't do everything in this matchup, but it does get you there. And it will hit other decks besides Kashtira. So, pros and cons. For going first, I did include some things for going first. Specifically, D-Barrier and Mischief of the Gnomes. A lot of people have been like, oh, play Mischief of the Gnomes to make, like, their hand smaller. Like, the monsters smaller, so they can't, like, overlay. Everything that you want with Mischief of the Gnomes can be done better with Dimensional Barrier. I think D-Barrier is going to be really, 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 really strong in this format. I think that my opinion is the top 3 decks will be Sword Soul, Branded, and Kashtira, with Labyrinth trailing close behind. I don't think that Labyrinth is particularly good enough, simply because it's a trap deck, and it will inherently lose games just because it is a back row deck. I feel like that's just the truth of it. As much as I enjoy that deck. But D-Barrier is kind of just better. It hits more things. It does more. It's D-Barrier. You will win games just by having D-Barrier, and I would highly recommend it for the side. I hope this video was educational, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content.